Well, there's good news and maybe there's bad news. I see the Premier was down in New York City this weekend. She wasn't out in Corner Brook. She was down in New York City, and she was promoting the cause of Muskrat Falls. She is, determined to move forward with that project. I don't think any of us are surprised the project is going ahead. And she was promoting it to a bunch of potential investors, buyers, etc., down there. And I'm not criticizing that. That's her role to do that. But at the same time she's doing it, it's interesting to note that the Harris Center at Memorial University was putting together a paper on the issues surrounding Muskrat Falls, and their paper backs up recommendations made by the Joint Review Panel on Muskrat Falls. Their paper was entitled, Making Best Use of the Lower Churchill, the Muskrat Falls Development, and it concludes that the Muskrat Falls project is not the best option to supply the island with power. This particular report, or essay, says the project will increase the province's already large debt burden by about $3 billion, by the way. The paper also says that selection of Muskrat Falls as the first Lower Churchill project defers the preferred Gull Island project, which has always been my argument. My concern or caution with development of Muskrat is, do we isolate Gull Island with that? They're saying basically the same thing. They're saying that the making the Lower Churchill project or Muskrat Falls, the first phase defers the preferred Gull Island project, which has a larger capacity and lower cost per energy unit. Author David Vardy says, while Churchill Falls failed to provide the province with great benefits, that's the Upper Churchill, it failed to provide the province with great benefits, it did not impose any large financial obligations on the provincial government. He says the recommendation of the Joint Panel for an independent assessment of the Muskrat Falls project has some merit. Well, it certainly does. And then we have this in the paper today. This is a cheers going out to the Public Utilities Board for taking its job seriously. The PUB's review of the Muskrat Falls project has been delayed by the failure of Nalcor to answer all of the board's questions, but the board has been plenty public about the problems, and the questions are piling up. All of them are on the PUB website, along with any answers Nalcor has provided. As of Friday, there were 272 questions from the PUB, consultants, and the consumer advocate. Answers so far, Nalcor has managed to answer 174 of them, 98 to go. There are 14 that have answers that are simply class-stamped as confidential. And the tone of the correspondence between the board and the PUB, and Nalcor has been steadily darkening, with recent letters from the PUB suggesting that Nalcor isn't being completely accurate in some of its explanations. Here's a small thought for the happy folks at Nalcor. This is from the paper. If you haven't realized it by now, the boss at the PUB is none other than the oft-irascible Andy Wells. Get him angry enough, he'll bite off your legs, and he'll do it publicly. A warning. What do you think of what's going on? Everybody's talking about it. I noticed in the weekend paper, I don't know if you did, there's several columns and letters and documents about Lower Churchill, and I weighed into it again this week as well. I'm saying that why have a debate in the House of Assembly this spring on the Lower Churchill or on Muskrat Falls if the members are not going to get to vote? I mean, if I were the opposition parties, I would tell the government, do not waste my time. Right? I might as well go out and talk to the Wailing Wall. I mean, there's just no point in it. Get up and have a debate, and it's just for show. And at the end of the day, I don't get to vote. I don't know. What do you think? Feel free to weigh in on all of that if you can. We're going to go to line number 5, and we're going to say hello. I got two Bills here, boys. Bill on line 3, it's not you. Bill on line 5, it's you. Hello, Bill.
Hello, that's you, Randy?
This is you, me. How are you?
Oh, fine as kind, boy. How are you doing yourself?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Fine as kind, Randy, boy. Beautiful day.
Yeah.
Randy, first of all, I want to thank a man by the name of Robert Rossler for returning my wallet to me yesterday.
Oh, good for him.
It was a small amount of money, but when you lose your wallet, and anyway.
It'll kill you when you lose your wallet. It breaks your heart. And you got your cards and everything in there, and you don't know what's... Yeah.
Well, I want to thank him. Well, one of the reasons I call, Randy, I'd like you to tell me if I'm sensible or crazy. I don't mind people telling me I'm crazy when I'm crazy, or sensible when I'm sensible.
All right.
But this Rasta, what's the name of the falls?
Muskrat Falls.
Muskrat Falls. See how smart I am? I can't even remember the name of it. Randy, Newfoundland haven't got a heritage fund for our young people, have we?
We do not.
No. Well, I see this as a heritage fund if it was done my way, and I think you may agree with us. You know, everybody in this world, that anything started yet, they say it won't work. Tim Hortons said it wouldn't work. I know personally, I'm involved with it. And, you know, the first plane they flew, they said it won't work. And I know the Outer Ring Road, was in a protest against the Outer Ring Road.
Mm-hmm.
It won't work.
Yeah.
But now, my idea that line I'm going to put in, I was to put that in heavy enough to take the Upper Churchill juice when it comes downstream to us, and I think it's in the 40s or sometime.
2041.
41. And could you? And I hear them making billions of dollars off us right now. I don't know what they're making. Maybe you know. I don't go into those details. But I heard there's billions of dollars they make with that now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But could you see yourself, the chief negotiator for Newfoundland, sitting at that table in 1941 and saying and looking at the best offer? Quebec at that time was not good. Well, say in the meantime now, we connect up a new line we have in to take all Churchill Falls down our route through Newfoundland until you can get a position to come back to us. And goodbye, and when you have that position, call us.
Mm.
Do you get my point, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would be a heritage fund in 1940.
Or in 2040.
2040, yes.
The problem with your thought, Bill.
Okay.
All right. The problem with your thought is that it's not realistic.
Not realistic.
To build a line of the magnitude and size that you're talking about, that not only has got to be built to get to Newfoundland and get to the Maritimes, it also has to be then built and connected so that it can actually get in to service the same customers it's servicing today, 20 years from now. That would cost many billions of dollars on the dead. No one could afford to pay for it between now and 2040. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So you wouldn't be able to pay out all that money for the next 21 years believing that at some point you're going to be able to take the power and not transfer it across the province of Quebec. You're going to be able to go around them. The reality is that nothing like that. Everybody has this vision that in 2041, all of this power is going to revert back to Newfoundland, and we're going to start selling it somewhere. Well, that's not what's going to happen. The only thing that's going to happen is we're going to sign a new contract that's going to provide for escalation in the price that we get, that the return that we get, and we'll finally start getting fair market value for the energy on that day. But none of the rest of this is going to change. I don't think we should all be thinking in those terms, because that's not the case. Right? It's just not there.
Well, Randy, I started off by telling you about the Outer Ring Road. Well, people say it can't be done. Well, I think it can be done.
Oh, no, what you're saying can be done.
It can be done.
Absolutely. But I'm saying the cost of it would make it very prohibitive.
Randy, forget about the cost. Forget, because everything you want to do yet for the cost, what it done to the environment. But forget about the cost. Just the threat of being able to do it would bring Quebec to the table with a realistic offer. Not saying, well, we still have you. Previous caller talked about the turnip in the cellar. You can't keep a turnip up in the cellar, something.
Or you can't get blood out of a turnip.
You can't get blood out of. No, Randy. But you know what Niall Cover said to me one time?
Mm.
But you can keep the turnip in the cellar a long while, though. You might get blood in, but you keep them in the cellar.
You can keep them in the cellar for a while. All right. That's an interesting play on words, yeah.
Yes. And I think, Randy, that's where we'll be to in 19. We'll be in the cellar again. But forget about the money. Say we're going to do it and sell it to it. Now, my belief, my naive thinking, there will be people around the world say, hey, that crowd in Newfoundland, look what they got, all that juice, oh, Jesus. We'll rush in there, we'll build factories there. You're talking about a different era and different time. Oh, all that juice come down to Labrador, all those minerals in Labrador. Because, Randy, the minerals on Labrador, we haven't even touched it. We haven't found. That's my belief in Labrador. Because I think Labrador is the most richest continent in the Western Hemisphere.
I won't argue. I won't knock that with you.
And everything will be changing then. But only the fact that threat alone to Quebec would make Quebec come to the table with a realistic offer. And Ronnie, that's all I'm going to say.
All right, Bill. Good.
God bless and take care.
Good to talk with you, sir.
Good
take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, anybody want to agree or disagree with what Bill is saying there, his view of it and everything else? For example, Quebec is not coming to the table with an offer in 2041. Right? There's no big offer going to be coming in here. Okay, let's sit down now and let's start talking about how we're going to rewrite this contract. There's not a whole lot to rewrite. There's not a lot wrong with the contract. There's not. We needed an escalator clause that gave us fair market price for energy. That's all that will change. Right? We will get the same clause that the province and Emira are proposing. That's it. Right? And then we'll get our money then, and then life will go on. I mean, that's how it works. All right, we are back, and we are going to go now and say a very good morning here to, I believe it's Junior. Hi, Junior.
Good morning, Randy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I was fine, sir, till I turned on the radio this morning, and I woke up at the cabin, and I was watching the sun making diamonds on the water, and then I heard the word Muskrat Falls, and the cloud came over, and all those diamonds disappeared.
I ruined your day.
Oh, I'm telling you, Randy. Every time I hear it, that's the only time I think I get upset a bit, because Kathy Dunnerdale saying we're going to debate it, but we're not going to vote on it.
I find that to be somewhat useless.
Totally useless, and I get upset because it's $6.2 billion of Newfoundland taxpayers' money, and she's not going to vote on it. She doesn't really want to debate it in the House, and I think that upsets me, and I still think the NDP and the Liberals should be up by Confederation building, like Occupy Canada. They should be Occupy Confederation building, and let's get this thing tackled before it's too late and shoved down our throat. I think that there's something crooked. I always say I smell a rat in Muskrat Falls, and we've got Gull Island, we've got Muskrat Falls, and we also have Old Harry. Now, Old Harry is that big oil reserve right on the border of Quebec, Newfoundland.
Right.
Newfoundland is in there now with a drilling company. They're drilling it. Quebec were years and years. They weren't going to sign a deal with Ottawa over the rights to it, and last month Quebec signed the deal. So somewhere with Muskrat Falls, I think it's being shoved down our throat, and we're going to accept it so that Quebec can lock in Dick Gall on it, or Quebec is going to let us say Old Harry without too much of a fuss. They're stuck in the works. And that's only my opinion,
well,
the way I feel about it.
You know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist like that, but I will tell you this. We've even had the president or chairman of Nalcor actually say in public, and we've had a former minister of natural resources say in public, on the airwaves on this show, I think, if I'm recalling correctly, stated categorically that Gull Island, which is the money-making part of this project, the energy will have to flow through Quebec.
Well, he just said it, didn't he?
So, you know, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything. I'm just saying they're just saying that the next phase of this development, the Lower Churchill, will flow through the province of Quebec.
That's right. So we're not going to have much flack with Muskrat Falls, and we probably won't have too much with Old Harry. We'll share Old Harry, and Gull Island will go through Quebec. I'm not saying it's a bad deal. It's just a conspiracy theory, like you're saying. But every time I heard that the Premier not going to vote on it, I have a problem. Brian Peckford lost his premiership over $80 million with Sprung, and we're talking $6.2 billion here, and it's still going to cost us in the long run for energy. And I have to ask you a question. Why can we not take care of ourselves first? Never mind Nova Scotia, never mind the Americans. Why can't we develop enough power on this island for Newfoundlanders? There's only 500,000. We don't have big industries. We just lost 2 paper mills, and we're saying we don't have enough power to run the island. There's something wrong here somewhere.
Sir, we will talk further about it, I have no doubt, in the days and weeks to come. I'm with you on the issue of, which I wrote about as well. I think that our MHAs, if they're going to debate it in the House, should have the right to vote on it. Whether or not the government wants to give the people inside their party the right to a free vote or whether it will be a whipped vote is entirely up to the government. However they want to go is how they're going to go. If I were one of 11 MHAs in the opposition side of the House, say, you want me to stand up here and beat my gums for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, ask questions, do battle, debate this thing, challenge it out, and at the end of the day, you're going to deny me the right to vote on it, even though I know I'm going to lose the vote. That's not the issue. There's a democratic principle that says I get to put my stamp on what I've said, and they're not going to get to do that. I'd walk away. So forget your debate.
And you're right, Randy. And I keep telling everybody that I see, we elected these people. They are not they're our masters. They're our servants. And the last time I was on Open Line, you asked me, how did they become our masters? Is because we let them. We let them become the masters. And exactly right. And that's what happened. And it's time for us right now to occupy Confederation, whatever we have to do. But there should be a vote. And I don't care if the vote is yes for Muskrat Falls. If the people of Newfoundland feel that way, then I'm quite happy with it. But don't shove it down my throat. And Randy, look at that. The sun is starting to come out on the lake again. So you're feeling better. You're feeling better already. It's better already. You got it off your chest. I just had my gums going, buddy, and I feel a lot better. Junior, thank you for your call. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your thoughts. You have a good day, Randy. You too, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye now. All right, Junior saying he's looking out at the waters there and the diamonds sparkling, he said, and then I said Muskrat Falls and it clouded over. That's funny. But he made some very good and interesting points. But, I don't know whether you agree with me or not on this, but certainly Junior does. I believe if I'm a member of the House of Assembly, and you're telling me we're going to have a debate, and then you're telling me we're not going to get to vote on an issue that's so critical to the next 30 years in Newfoundland and Labrador. Are you kidding me? I'm not going to get to vote? Well, I think I'd walk. You don't need me. And we are back. We are going to go to line number 4. Going to say a very good morning here to Jim. Hi, Jim.
Hello, Randy.
Hi, sir.
How are you today?
I am well, thank you.
Good. I just wanted to phone in this morning. I heard your opening remarks regarding the Muskrat Falls deal and stuff, and
right.
I just wanted to say that I'm not a very big fan of the whole idea of this project. I think it's just not going to be right for Newfoundland and Labrador. I think there's too many problems with it, too many unanswered questions at the moment, and I just don't feel right about it. I think it'll be another Churchill Falls legacy for us.
You really do? You really think it's that bad, or we just need to go a little slower?
I think there's other alternatives at the moment. I don't know if you read Jeff Meeker's blog in the Evening Telegram, one that was called Only One Issue, and Jeff brought out some really good points, I think, things that probably a lot of people are wondering about this project. It's a worthwhile read. It states a lot of things that I was actually thinking about myself when I heard about this project.
Right.
And from talking to people who are associated with the industry and stuff like that, and I've heard the same sort of concerns. One of the things that bothers me is why get involved with a $6.2 billion project when we have still viable projects on the island that would more than meet our energy needs. I know one person who mentioned to me that Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro has, or Newfoundland Power has upgraded some of their projects on the island, and simply by putting in new turbines and new delivery systems, they've been able to increase their output of power. And as we all know, according to, I think, the statistics or the information that's out there, our power needs are not going to really rise until about 2019. Is that correct? I'm not sure.
No, that's not. Well, no. Basically, what they're basically saying, and this is how it was presented to me, is that in actual fact, our energy needs over the long term go back the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Our energy needs have increased on average by about 2.7% a year. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
For the purposes of making the necessary assumptions to justify the development of Muskrat Falls, they are saying, let us say that demand will not be 2.7% a year on average over the next several years. Let's say it will only be 0.8% a year. And at that point, at that rate of increased demand, we run out of power by 2017.
2017. Okay. Yeah, it's still a case, I think, that there's like so many other viable options. I think I heard one of your callers one day talk about the small windmill farm in St. Lawrence, which was running at 93% efficiency.
Right.
And isn't there a proposal by a private company that they would put in many more windmills in that area and just feed the grid and keep us supplied with power, and would it be no cost to the Newfoundland taxpayer?
I understand that there are proposals like that sitting out there, but of course all of those proposals with wind power guarantee a source or form of energy that is not 100% reliable.
Yes.
And so, and plus, it keeps the Holyrood generating plant fired up. Whereas what Muskrat is supposed to do is it takes that generating plant down, shuts it down, and of course the source of energy is 100% reliable.
Yeah.
I mean, those are some of the arguments they're presenting around how they make this work.
I don't think anything is 100% reliable. You could have problems with any type of system. I know a few years back in Newfoundland we had basically, I think it was a warning about our hydro plants not having sufficient water to run them at full capacity.
Nothing is 100%. I agree with you. Which, by the way, even with Lower Churchill, while they may indeed close Holyrood, I don't think you're going to see it dismantled. I just think you're going to see it sit there and be maintenanced and maintained, because in an emergency, if you did lose that line, well, Holyrood, of course, saves your butt. Yeah.
Another couple of things too that that I've been reading about, and like I said in this column that Jeff Meeker did, I think it was, like I say, it hit a lot of.
Yeah, when was that? That was a while ago.
Yeah, that I'm not sure.
Wonder what
that was. It was earlier in the fall.
Sure. That might not even exist on their website anymore.
Yeah, it's still there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
okay,
it's still there.
All right, very good.
You can go back in. The other thing too is what worries me is just the enormous cost of the project. And, of course, if there's cost overruns, that's going to be picked up by the taxpayers of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yeah, 100% apparently.
And that, to me, is frightening, because with our debt and deficit as it is now, that's the last thing we need, is to have more of a burden put on ourselves, and especially our children, our future generations.
Sure. Even though they're saying in this context the debt is a complete write-off, doesn't count. Because it is being backed by a revenue-generating asset that is of equal or greater value than the debt.
Okay.
So they're saying, that's like saying a mortgage on a house. It's a bad thing to have a mortgage on a house. Yeah. When it's not, it's always a good thing. Right?
Okay. So that's interesting too, to think of it that way.
That's their argument.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm giving you
and
there.
Again, there's other things. I could go on and on. I mean, it's like the idea of selling power to Nova Scotia cheaper than we're going to sell it to ourselves. It just doesn't seem to make complete sense to me. And the other thing, of course, that I'm afraid of is that I'm really afraid that the government, the Dunderdale government, has just got a set of blinkers on, and they're just looking straight ahead. And it doesn't matter what.
Suffering a little. They could be suffering a little tunnel vision.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. Perhaps. If Stephen Harper doesn't come through with the loan guarantee and stuff like that, the project will be killed. It would be, I believe, probably the best thing he's ever done for Newfoundland.
Jim, we're going to end on that note. Thank you. It is good to talk with you.
Thank you. Have a good day now. And like I said, I hope you do get more opinion on this, because I think this is a very important issue to the whole province, to Newfoundland and Labrador, and also, like I say, for future generations. The majority of people that I speak to, I think, are worried about the project and have some concerns and some worries about what will happen in the future and stuff like that.
All right, thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, when I got to Corner Brook on Friday, I did not get there in time to see the Nalcor presentation on Muskrat Falls. They did it for councillors in Corner Brook. I arrived too late. I drove into the city on Friday morning out of Grand Falls in on Friday, so I missed the presentation. But I talked to a couple of councillors after the presentation and asked them what they thought. And one mayor from the Northeast Avalon, who shall remain nameless because he didn't know I was going to quote him this morning, but he lives near us, made this comment. He said, "We're going to build it for 17 cents and sell it for 10. Need I say more?